spray so sad to the field French hillside as you walk this land.
Well, good evening everyone, and a very happy new year to you. We hope you've had a great start to 2024.
And welcome to episode 8 of Ninebarrow Wandering Minstrels. Now, we're sorry it's been such a long time since our last episode. We think it's been a whole year, in fact.
Yes, we're sorry about that. We are going to endeavour to keep producing these programmes and to keep them free to air as we have done from the start. But as you can probably imagine, with our touring schedule and all of the other tasty musical pies we've got our fingers in, not to mention the fact that we've got the Barrow baby on the way, it's been a little tricky carving out time to put together one of these episodes.
But of course, we're delighted to be here, and better late than never, as the old adage goes. So, in our last episode, we took you all the way up to North Dorset for a bit of a jaunt over two of Dorset's most iconic hill forts. But today, we thought we'd return to our primary stomping ground, which is, of course, the Isle of Purbeck.
But as ever, we've got more than just wanderings coming up in this evening's show, so let's have a quick look at what other delights we've got in store.
We take you on a fabulous walk over Ballard Down and out to Old Harry Rocks before we descend down to Godlingston Heath, finishing on the shores of Poole Harbour.
And during the course of the walk, we'll explore some of the fascinating folklore and history in which the area is steeped.
Back in the studio, we have a chat with the superb Anglo-Scottish duo Janice Burns and John Doran about the waves they've been making in the folk music world over the last few years.
We'll bring you a song from the Ninebarrow Gig Archive,
as well as news about our next live stream and our upcoming three-dimensional spring tour.
and we'll also be sharing an exciting announcement about our 2025 musical walking holidays, as well as a track from one of the artists who will be joining us. So without further ado, let's head over to Purbeck and get the show on the road.
Hello everybody, here we are on the beach of Swanage Bay, and what a glorious day it is once again.
Yes, just over 3 years ago we began our very first episode of Wandering Minstrels just over there on Peveril Point, and we thought it was high time that we returned to the shores of Swanage Bay to take you on another spectacular walk on the Isle of Purbeck.
As we mentioned all the way back in episode 1, those many moons ago, the title Isle for the Isle of Purbeck is a little bit of a misnomer really. It's not an island at all, rather it's got the sea on three sides. We've got Poole Harbour to the north, Dalston Bay, Swanage Bay and Studland Bay to the east, and the English Channel to the south.
The fourth bit of water that's led to the title Isle is up for a bit of discussion. Some claim that it's a small stream that runs across Wareham Heath, and others claim, more commonly, that it's the River Frome itself.
Now, we've mentioned on stage a few times that we've got a brilliant little book called Purbeck Sharp by Eric Benfield, which is all about Purbeck's quarrying history.
There's a lovely paragraph in the introduction to that book that goes, "There is a lot of truth to the old idea that when a stranger came into Purbeck, needing but one horse to pull his effects over the Wareham Bridge, it always took 3 or 4 horses to pull them back the other way.
And this is presumably not because that particular visitor was laden with so many souvenirs from the gift shop that they required extra horses.
Indeed not. It's a metaphor, dear James. It's far harder to cross the threshold of the Isle of Purbeck when saying goodbye to it. And I think that's certainly a sentiment that we would subscribe to. We never get bored of driving into Purbeck, although it's fair to say we've never done it on a horse.
Not yet, at least. Maybe there's time for that.
Next episode.
Next episode. Okay, well, this introduction is getting weirder by the second, so perhaps it's time to begin today's wanderings.
I think you could be right.
Shall we?
All right.
Let's.
When the heather bells ring and the rowan is red, it's down to the fields, to the harvest winter red. Past overgrown hedgerows and fruit-laden boughs, we'll come to the farm through an archway of flowers. When the wheat's ripe and the harvest begins, we'll go to the fields and we'll gather it in. Leaves on the breeze and the sun on our skin. Go to the fields, gather it in.
Now, the great thing about this walk is that you get all the climbing done across the first mile, and after that, it's just gorgeous views, really, and pretty much downhill all the way to the end, down at Poole Harbour in the far distance behind us.
Yeah, the views here, they're not quite panoramic because we've got the looming bulk of Ballard Down blocking the view to the west. But it's pretty impressive nonetheless. We've got Swanage Bay to the south. We've got all of the various Studland heaths to the north, which give way to Poole Harbour beyond. And the visibility is actually pretty amazing today, so we can see all of the way to the Isle of Wight.
And it's pretty obvious as you climb Ballard Down that you're heading up a chalk ridge, and the steep sides of Ballard Cliff are visible all the way up the path from the beach.
Ballard Down is the final section of the Purbeck Ridge, and it's part of a geological fold called the Purbeck monocline, which formed about 30 million years ago.
And it's this fold which has given rise to the steep chalk of the Purbeck Hills, and this band runs from Lulworth Swire Head all the way to the tip of Ballard Point, some 16 miles as the crow flies.
Yeah, from Old Harry, the fold actually continues under the sea and emerges at the Isle of Wight as the Needles, and then it continues to form the central ridge of the island. And actually, looking over there now, we can see, well, not only the chalk cliffs of the Needles, we can see actually all the way to the island's southern tip today, St Catherine's Point.
And it's absolutely amazing to think that as little as 7,000 years ago, parts of the Isle of Wight were still attached to the mainland, and that's, geologically speaking, the blink of an eye.
But in terms of the ridge here on Purbeck, it's actually only broken by the Ulwell Road leading into Swanage and by Corfe Castle itself.
Although it's probably more accurate to say that it's the Corfe River and the Bile Brook that really break the ridge, rather than the castle itself, because it's those waterways that eroded the marvellous mound upon which the castle sits today.
And useless piece of historical knowledge incoming. Did you know that Corfe comes from the Anglo-Saxon verb chorfen, meaning to cut? No? Well, now you do.
And on that bombshell, let's get wandering towards our final destination for this first half of the walk, Old Harry Rocks.
The dew that hangs on the grass has captured the sun. Summer's feeling daisies and hawthorn so white, garland bright. For we rose with the sun and we searched through the day. Flowers fresh to cast to the
So we're here on Handfast Point, and just behind the cliffs there are Old Harry Rocks.
And this is the destination for many a tourist here in Purbeck, as you can do a lovely little there and back again along the lovely flat path from Studland village all the way to Old Harry Rocks.
Yeah, Old Harry is a big beast. He's actually a chalk stack, and a fairly impressive one at that. The hydraulic action of the sea forces air and water into cracks in the chalk, and those cracks become caves, and those caves then eventually become arches.
And when those arches eventually collapse under their own weight, you're left with a stack. But Harry's not alone out here. Now, as he watches over Pool Bay, he's kept company by his rather diminutive wife.
Or, yeah, I mean, it might be slightly more accurate to say his latest wife, because he's actually, he's had quite a few, has the old polyamorous Harry. Sadly, Harry's wife is a bit of a prelude of what her husband has to look forward to, because eventually he too will be taken out at the knees to find himself face first in the surf.
But hopefully he's a few hundred years away from that particular fate. Now, you might well be wondering, where does the name Old Harry comes from? Well, as normally happens around these parts, there's more than one theory behind it.
Yeah, the first suggests that the devil, who is sometimes known as Old Harry, slept on the rocks. And given that another name for the devil is Old Nick, it's a theory that actually stands up to a fair bit of scrutiny, because the piece of grass just behind us here is actually called Old Nick's Ground.
Yeah, and there's also another devil-related legend, and it's actually one that we spoke to you about on episode 4, so you can go and watch that later if you like. But in that legend, the devil himself is sitting on the Needles over on the Isle of Wight. He picks up Anglo-Scottish rock and throws it over the water, where it lands on Godlingston Heath, which incidentally is where we'll be heading shortly.
Yeah, the other possible origin for the name is actually equally shady though, as it relates to Harry Pay, the infamous pool privateer and smuggler.
Or pirate, as they're more commonly known. Now, Pay was notorious for his raids along the coasts of France and Spain, and it sounds like he annoyed them quite a lot, really, so much so that in 1405, a combined fleet of French and Spanish ships attacked Poole Harbour and had retaliation against them driven off by the ships of the Poole townsfolk.
Yeah, legend goes that Harry's ship would wait in hiding behind the rocks here for unsuspecting merchants to sail past before he would pounce.
Yeah, either story's pretty good, to be honest. I think both of them, but our money's on the devil, particularly after all of the other devil-related stories that we've had around here.
Yeah, it's actually a lesser-known fact, but there are records going back as far as 1381 that indicate that Handfast Point, or the Foreland as it's sometimes known, was actually the site of a castle.
Oh, what we wouldn't give for that not to have been lost to the sea already. Now, apparently the original castle was rebuilt in the 16th century, and it was intact all the way to the 18th century, where they had a blockhouse extension added to it.
An blockhouse extension, that sounds quite impressive. Fascinating to think how different this stretch of coast would look like with a whacking great big castle on it. Anyway, it is about time for a song, methinks, and we thought perhaps, given the maritime backdrop, we'd give you a rendition of an unaccompanied favourite of ours, row on. We are, however, going to go and find somewhere slightly out of the wind to go and give you this song.
Clouds are upon the summer sky, there's thunder in the wind. Pull on and homeward high, ne'er give one look behind. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Bear where thou goest the word of love, say all that words can say. Changeless affection, strength to prove, but speed upon the way. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Like yonder river would I glide to where my heart would be. My bark would soon outsail the tide that hurries to the sea. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. But yet a star shines constant still through yonder cloudy sky, and hope as bright my bosom fills from faith that cannot die. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Row on, God speed the way, thou canst not linger here. Storms hang upon the closing day, tomorrow may be clear. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night.
Well, there you go. The wind's just dropped.
A little bit.
So I don't have to hold onto the microphone stand anymore. I think it's probably time to hand back to John and Jay in the studio, and we'll see you in the second half.
What a beautiful day that was. I mean, that was probably one of the better days that we've had in terms of filming these things for you guys. So it was a pleasure. And of course, there is more to come in the second half.
There is indeed, but it is now the moment in the show where we say, why don't you let us know where you're tuning in from? Yes, comments fingers, or maybe even comments thumbs if you're doing that kind of stuff on your phone. The best place, of course, for you to let us know is the Barrow Gods Facebook group. We've got the official chat thread running over there. If you're not a member of that group already, you are warmly invited to join the community, and what a welcoming extended family it is. So, we are now going to move over to, well, the part of the show where we like to maybe step away from Ninebarrow. We never really wanted these shows to be purely about our music, and we rather like the idea of introducing you to some music that perhaps you might not have heard before.
And of course, this show is no different. So a little bit earlier, we were lucky enough to catch up with the fabulous Janice Burns and John Doran.
Yes, we first came across these guys digitally. We went to one of their live streams online and absolutely blew us away. We'd heard really good things about them from quite a lot of people prior to that. We enjoyed it so much that we invited them down to Lyme Folk Weekend last year to be a part of the Ninebarrow and Friends concert, which some of you might well have been at. We got on them with them fantastically well, and thought it'd be nice to have a little chit chat about all things Anglo-Scottish folk tradition. So before we head over to that interview, let's have a little listen to what they sound like.
Pendulum, her heart beat always glad. We sought for joy and found a way on. We Barney Rouse, where the echo mocks the corn creek among the winning houses. Oh, you maidens.
Janice, John, it's lovely to see you. How are you doing?
Hey, nice to see you.
Whereabouts in the country are you guys at the moment?
We're currently in Newcastle.
Right.
This is John's bedroom, I suppose.
Yeah. to say to that.
Oh, that is a wonderful.
I was going to say where the magic happens, but actually it doesn't.
No, this is just the perfect start to a Ninebarrow interview. This is exactly the kind of thing that happens. It's lovely to be chatting to you guys. Thank you so much for making the time to have a bit of a chinwag.
So I think the way that we normally start these interviews is by saying, where did you guys find how did you fall into the wonderful world of folk music?
We have very different answers to that question, so I'll let John go first.
Yes.
You've got the classic answer, I think.
Yeah, I probably have the more traditional answer to that. I come from a sort of musical family, and my dad was a folkie and was into Morris dancing and playing the whistle and all that kind of stuff. So I grew up in Gloucestershire, and Cotswold Morris was big there, and then kind of started playing the fiddle for them, started dancing, and now I'm here, still playing the fiddle and still dancing. So, yeah, nothing's really changed.
You're saying you're still Morris dancing as well, are you?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Like, whenever I'm down south and I'm in the right place at the right time, I'll join my old side. They're called actually, they're not called that anymore. They're called Camden Morris Dancers now. They had a recent rebrand. And they're a lovely bunch. One of the more kind of... not one of the sides you'd see out at all the festivals and stuff like that, but they're a kind of little, like a village side. You know, they might venture out to the next village or even the next county if they're feeling brave.
So, what about you, Janice? A very different story.
I grew up in Glasgow, which is a really folky place. There's, they've got the RCS trad course, and there's loads going on in Scotland. But I didn't grow up doing folk music, and I knew I liked music and did like violin lessons at high school, and got some piano lessons and stuff, and thought, right, I really like music, so I'm going to try and do this. But the only thing that's really available when you're not in, and like I didn't really know anyone musical either. I was like the only person that I knew that liked it. So yeah, I feel like when you're not in that community and stuff, it's hard to find where you actually fit in musically. So I did what the school prescribed, which is ABRSM. Didn't really get on with it, always hated sight reading. Tried to do a bit of classical music, but just wasn't really into it. So I think I was about 23 when I started playing the mandolin just for the crack, and found out that I loved it, and found out that I loved trad music and got into trad that way. And a couple of years later, I was, doing really silly things like quitting my job and moving to Newcastle to study at university. So that's my route into trad.
Amazing. I see, and the rest is history. So you met at Newcastle, did you?
We did, yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, hearing your backgrounds, and obviously you know, Gloucestershire, Glasgow, kind of fairly long distance, but in terms of the traditions that you guys have grown up with, English and Scottish, very different. How do you guys go about bringing those two worlds together in what you do?
Good question.
I think we just sort of pretend to laugh at each other, but then actually really like the other traditions, so just sort of get on with it and do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say yeah. There's no rivalry in there with sort of traditions and what we do. Like, I'm very glad that I tour with a Scottish musician, and it opens the doors to so many different bits of repertoire that you wouldn't otherwise look at, and also places that you otherwise wouldn't perform. So I think it's really cool.
I think it was Donald Shaw who runs Celtic Connections. Humble brag, me and John won the Danny Kyle Award a few years ago, and but what Donald Shaw said about it, the reason he liked us was he said it didn't really sound English or Scottish. It sounded like something a bit new and a bit different. So I thought that was cool. I think we don't try to make it sound like either of the traditions. It's just kind of music, I suppose.
We had a good review from a French reviewer, and it was just after our first album came out, and it said at the first line of it, we kind of read it and we were like, is that? And then we sort of had to translate it. And the first line of it was like, Janice has obviously forgiven John for the crimes of his ancestors.
Oh, God. I love that. It's like, I have.
Fantastic.
Wow.
What a start to a review. I think that's brilliant.
But interestingly as well, people didn't really start thinking about national identity until it wasn't really a thing that people defined themselves by. So was it 1700s?
Yeah, probably.
It was quite late. People didn't see that as like something that defined themselves. You didn't think about Scottish and English music, as far as I'm aware, from what I remember about my uni days and reading lots of books. I feel like it wasn't a thing.
So it's time to go back to that state of play, I think.
Yeah, we could do with a bit more.
I mean,
of
yeah,
that.
both of you down in Dorset, like, I feel like these little bubbles in different areas, like, or in Northumberland, they feel like they're not English trad a lot of the time, but I bet it's the same down in Dorset, down Cornwall way especially, I bet they claim they're not anything to do with the English scene.
Speaking of your wonderful album as well, because it's No More the Green Hills, which was, I believe, that was released October 2022, so just over a year ago now. But it got so many wonderful reviews. So have you got any plans for another album?
We do, actually.
Yeah.
In February, we will be recording our second album. We don't have a name for it yet, but I can confirm it is going to be a Christmas album.
Amazing.
That must be absolutely great. You'll have just finished your Christmas tour, and then February it's time to relive it. Will you kind of deck the studio out with tinsel?
Yeah, to get us in the mood, maybe. Yeah.
It's still cold in February. So.
It is still cold in February. We're going to get all of our promo done around that time.
And so release date, are you're looking kind of November, December?
Yeah, probably November.
Excellent. Oh, well, something to look forward to. That's a bit distant, but something you've got to look forward to a little bit sooner. In fact, I think it's probably next week. You're playing Celtic Connections. You must be really looking forward to that.
It should be good. Yeah. It's nice getting things in January. I'm
really excited. I've wanted to play Celtic Connections for years, so I'm absolutely buzzing. And we're going to be playing in the concert hall, supporting Thea Gilmore.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's going to be amazing. So other than Celtic Connections, you got any other tours coming up in between now and the end of the year?
We absolutely do, but I can't remember when.
Sorry, put you on the spot.
I think May.
Oh, it's May.
It is May. Yeah. I'm gonna rush off. I've got a trio. We're gonna have a little tour in April, and then get back, and then we're gonna go on tour in May, and then there's another one. Oh no, there isn't.
There's a Scottish one.
There's a Scottish one,
in
isn't
October,
there? In
I think.
October, yeah. So that should be
If
good.
any, yeah.
if any dates roll in. I don't know if we're still waiting for dates, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, thank you so much for the chat. Lovely to catch up with you guys. I think you're going to give us a live track as well. Is that... I should have probably checked at the beginning of the interview that was the case.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're ready. We're good to go.
Right, we'll give Janice and John just a couple of moments to get themselves sorted. But don't forget, janandjohn.com. You can find out all their upcoming dates. So what are you going to play for us, guys?
We're going to play Georgie from our first EP.
Right. I think they're going to tune up and stuff, so I need to fill.
Hope they
like
tune.
I'll fill for a couple of seconds. Don't forget janandjohn.com. You can find out all the dates that they've got coming up. If you're up in the north, you might even be able to go and see them at Celtic Connections if it hasn't sold. It's probably sold out, to be honest. You've probably missed your chance. So anyway, here we go. Janice and John with Georgie.
Yes, he stole 16 of the Lord Judges there, and we sold them down under the valley. Come saddle to me, said my lily white steed. Come saddle to me, said my pony, with bright guns in his hand and a sword by his side. Spare me the life of my Georgie. My life shall be hanged by the chains of gold. By the chains of gold you can find me. For I'm willing to part, that's all I have got. If you'll spare me the life of my Georgie. What did Georgie done on Shooter's What did Georgie done on Shooter's Daddy stole or murdered by many. Yes, he stole 16 of the Lord Judges there, and we sold them down under the valley. For it's Georgie's the father of 6 babes above. For the 7th one lies in my body. For I'm willing to part, that's all I have got. If you'll spare me the life of my Georgie.
Oh gosh, those guys, they are just absolutely fantastic. And we are thrilled to be able to announce that we have them on the lineup for our 2025 musical walking holidays as well, along with some other incredible acts a little bit more about that later.
So, if you want to find out a little bit more about Janice and John's music, or you want to pick up a copy of their latest album, No More Green Hills, then head on over to their website, www.janandjohn.com, to find out a little bit more, and we'll also put the link in the comments below.
Ooh. So, many of you already know that over at the Ninebarrow shop website, we have a repository of many of our previous live streams, and it is called the Concert Archive. We wanted a way for people to be able to rewatch some of their favourites, or perhaps catch up on ones that maybe they had missed the first time around. And importantly, it is a platform where once you've bought a particular concert, it doesn't expire. It is yours to stream forever.
Yes, and the other exciting thing is that the versions of the concerts on the platform are quite often in significantly higher quality than the ones that we could broadcast initially, and our newest addition to the archive is one such example.
It is. Back in the spring of last year, we broadcast something pretty special, and it was called the Ninebarrow Quartet Live from the Shirling Studio, and it involved coming together with our good friends Lee Mackenzie on cello and John Parker on double bass to put together a whole evening of quartet arrangements, and it was a lot of fun putting that together.
Absolutely was. So here is Sunshine in the Winter, live from the Shirling Studio at Lighthouse Pool.
The clouds that yesterday did hide the sun, they all are blown aside, and in the light no longer dim do shine the ivy that do climb the tower side, the elm stem, and holly bushes in between. The leafless thorns be bright and green, to sunshine in the winter. Trees that yesterday did twist in winds of driving rain and mist, do now throw shades out long and still, and roaring waterfalls do fill their whirling pools below the hill, where with a foot upon the stile the rambling couple pause to smile at sunshine in the winter. The birds do shake with playsome skips, the raindrops off the bushes tips are chirruping with merry sound, and down below upon the ground the wind do whirl round and round, so softly that the day do sing, like a summer in a dream, and sunshine in the winter. Folks now do meet aboard to dead old winters long since thawed. The snow along upon the ground, more floods broke, all the bridges down, more wind and keel to half the town. can face the winter sun. No leaves can fall, no flowers can fade. No snow can hide the grass's blade. No frost can whiten in the shade. No day can come, but what do bring to mind again their early spring? It's now turned to winter.
Always love playing with those guys so much. We can't wait to do it again. So it was a good show that I really enjoyed it, and I wondered if we've been thinking about maybe putting that onto a live CD. So
What do you reckon?
yeah, let us know what you think.
Worth it? We don't want to produce like hundreds of coasters. So let us know if you actually want to listen to it, and maybe we'll do that at some point this year, next year, maybe. Right. I think we left the other Jay and John stood on a cliff edge somewhere not that far from old Harry.
They look quite happy there.
Yeah, I mean, it was sunny, it was nice. It wasn't as precarious as perhaps it looked on camera. And yeah, they've got a few miles left to go, so let's get yomping.
Chicks hatched, well I taught them that song. We sang it together, our voices as one. As leaves turn to gold, oh we'll take to the sky. And journeying south, oh we'll sing as we fly. Names in the
Welcome back to the second half of this episode's walk.
We've wended our way from Old Harry down through the lovely track to Studland village, and now we're outside its beautiful village church.
The existence of salt pans and salt workers at Studland is recorded in the Domesday Book of 1086. So there's certainly been a settlement here for, well, at least 1,000 years.
Now, the parish church here is dedicated to the patron saint of sailors, who is of course St. Nicholas, and this church was built in the 12th century, but prior to that there was a Saxon church on this site which was destroyed by the Danes in the 9th century.
Yeah, and it's also believed that the Saxon church may well have actually been built atop pre-Christian foundations as well. Now, many of you who've been following us for some time will know that not only have we done quite a few 3D concerts inside this church, but it was also the site of our very first non-HQ live stream back in the depths of the pandemic in, gosh, 2020.
Yes, I remember it well, but we lit a lot of candles in that lovely concert and had a great evening singing within its beautiful walls. And incidentally, that concert is still available on the Ninebarrow Concert Archive on the website too.
Yes, it is. So look, we're not going to stop inside it today. Our next stop is actually a building of a rather more utilitarian nature. Next, we're off to one of Studland's hidden historical gems, Fort Henry.
Swift over rugged track, climbing stile and hedgerow, fair wind at your back.
So this is Fort Henry. Now, I'd say the term fort is possibly a tad grand for what it actually is, considering it's more of a bunker, really.
A Second World War bunker, to be precise. It actually gets its name from the Ontario home base of the Canadian Royal Engineers who built it in 1943.
So when you first find it nestled down on the end of Red End Point, it seems completely out of place, and we've been walking around this area for years and years before we even realised that it was here.
Yeah, on this walk, you've got a fair amount of time to absorb just how huge Studland Beach is. And from the moment you arrive at the top of Ballard Down, it's pretty much your companion for the rest of the walk as you wend your way along the coast.
So, in April 1944, because of its pretty close resemblance to the beaches of northern France and its relative isolation, Studland was the location of something called Operation Smash, a live ammunition rehearsal of the D-Day landings.
6 weeks before those actual landings took place, VIPs including Winston Churchill, King George VI, watched on to observe the combined might of the Allied forces, and the place they watched from was none other than, you guessed it, Fort Henry.
Even President Eisenhower was here, so you get a feel for just how important this star-studded cast of dignitaries was on the 18th of April. But sadly, not everything went according to plan during that trial run.
Indeed not. Part of Operation Smash involved testing some tanks known as duplex drive Valentine's tanks, or Donald Duck tanks as they were sometimes known. Now they were a type of amphibious vehicle that the Allies had planned to use during the Normandy landings.
A trial run down in Studland Bay resulted in 6 of those tanks sinking, as well as losing the lives of 6 of the crew members. But what was a disaster during Operation Smash meant that those plans were revised for the main event, and on D-Day itself those tanks were released in much shallower water.
The sunken remains of those Valentine's tanks are actually still down in Studland Bay, and back in 2019 they were protected as a scheduled monument.
So from here we're going to make our way out of Studland village and out into the glorious broad expanse of Godlingston Heath.
So we've now entered the UK's first super nature reserve. That sounds pretty grand, really. Almost like it should have its own cape or something.
Really? Okay, well, no, what it actually means is no capes involved. It actually means Natural England, the RSPB, Forestry England, the Remstone Estate Trust, Dorset Wildlife Trusts, and the Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Trusts,
along with other landowners and managers.
They have all joined forces to create the Purbeck Heaths Nature Reserve, which spans over 20,000 acres.
Yeah, the new site combines 3 existing nature reserves at Stowborough Heath, Hartland Moor, and also Studland and Godlingston Heath, on which we are here stood.
And we've talked quite a bit about the wonderful flora and fauna of this area back in episode 4, so we won't revisit that too much here, because if you missed it, you can go and watch that episode at your leisure, as it's still available to watch on our YouTube channel in perpetuity.
Yes. I did want to give you at least one new fact, though. You know,
Always.
I am a font of many odd pieces of knowledge. Well, how about this? The Purbeck Heaths Reserve is home to at least 2 fungi that are found nowhere else in England and Wales. The sand earth tongue and the Rosiodiscus famosus. There you go.
Okay, I'm slightly disappointed with that one.
Why?
2 fungi who can't be found anywhere else in England and Wales.
We're the fun
guys.
We're the fun
Yeah.
guys. Okay. Okay. If I was funny, I Maybe I would have actually come up with that, but there you
Okay,
go.
fine. So with any luck, we'll manage to find some pictures of your special fungi so that this begins to feel slightly less abstract.
Yeah, okay. So we're nearing the end of our walk, which you're probably all really grateful to hear. We're going to head across this gorgeous heathland expanse and down to the harbour to our final destination of the day.
The day is over and we've seen all there is to see. Our spirits then will walk the hills and wander the edge of the rolling sea. I could walk alone, but would you walk with me?
So we've made it. We've beat the sunset to our final destination of today's walk, Redhorn Quay.
We are hidden on one of the beaches of the inner harbour here, which, if we're coming to Studland during a busy period of the year, it's definitely our much preferred area to explore. It's always just so much quieter than the Studland Bayside.
And we actually began episode 4 not too far from here, and we've talked a lot about the history of Poole Harbour in that episode.
Yes, so instead of another history lesson for you all, we thought, well, we'd just give you a song instead. And given that I've carried the piano that's just sat behind the camera there a fairly significant distance today, it would make sense if we gave you a song that uses it.
Exactly. So, water lapping on the shore, ships and boats making their way in and out of the harbour entrance just behind the corner. We thought Sailors All might do the trick from our last album, A Pocket Full of Acorns.
Watch how the morning comes, the whole world over, turning the sea to gold, from Rio to Dover, each harbour with its ships, all trimmed and ready, hoping the offshore winds will hold them steady, and we are sailors home until we've landed. We are both great and small, sailors all. Those who fear the storm may not go farther. They will sail round and round within their own harbours, sailors all. And some may reach their lands, while others may perish, each taking memories of journeys they cherish. And we are sailors home until we've landed. We are both great and small, sailors all. And we are sailors all until we've landed. We are both great and small, sailors all, sailors all, sailors all.
I hope you can hear those seagulls in the distance there.
Beautiful. Oh,
amazing.
gosh, couldn't be more appropriate, really.
So that's it for another Wandering Minstrels. Thank you so much for joining us on that little jaunt.
It's been a pleasure, but that's not the end of the show. It never is it? I think the other John and Jay have got a little bit more for you before we sign off for this episode of Wandering Minstrels.
Wasn't that just the most glorious day out?
It was. We always seem to cut it pretty fine with the sun, don't we? Nothing like a little bit of, you've got to nail this in one take before the sun goes down to get the old blood pumping.
Exactly. There's no asking Mr. Sun just to hang on the horizon like that for any longer. He does what he wants to. But anyway, that's nearly it for another show. But before we send you on your merry way, we've got a couple more things that we'd like to share with you. So first off, our spring tour.
Yes, we are hitting the road again in March for what will be our last tour for quite a while. With the arrival of the Barrow Baby in April, we are going to be taking a bit of time off touring the country. So this could be your last opportunity to see a public concert for quite a while.
Yeah, just a little while though. We're not going to call this a farewell tour or anything, no. We'll be hitting the road again in 2025, but we're just going to take a little bit of time to enjoy being a family before we do. But all those dates are over at the website, as always, or you could just Google Ninebarrow Gigs.
Yes, and excitingly, something else we've got happening this year is that we're going to be running another of our one-day Wandering Minstrels experiences in Purbeck, where we'll be taking a group of you on none other than the walk that you've just seen in this episode.
Quite a nice walk, I hope you'll agree. And there are still some places available for that, so it's taking place in September this year. So if you're quick, you can still grab some places for it.
Yes, and drum roll please. It is nearly time, it's a very short drum roll, but it's nearly time for our 2025 musical walking holidays.
So yes, 2025 that is, not 2024, because this year has been fully booked for some time.
Yes, it has. So 21st of January, 9 AM bookings will go live for 2025. If you're already on the walking holiday mailing list, you're going to get all of that information automatically. But if you are not, and you are interested in finding out more, get signed up for more information. We would recommend doing that pretty sharp.
Yes, get your skates on. But now, the astute among you might have noticed that whilst we haven't launched these holidays yet, we've actually already filled over 80% of the places. Now, why is this, John?
Why is this? Well, each year we run a holiday. We give priority booking to the guests who've just joined us that year. So essentially, because we've got over 80% of 2025 filled, it means that most of the 2023 guests wanted to come back.
which is absolutely amazing. So it just means the rest of you will need to be fairly quick off the mark if you want to join the fun.
You will. We are so excited about this set of holidays. We've crafted 3 more glorious walks on the Isle of Purbeck to share with you. We've got a host of culinary delights cooked up by the head chef at our gorgeous B&B nestled up in the Purbeck Hills, and we have hand-picked a stellar musical lineup.
Yes, in 2025 we are delighted to have folk legends Edgelarks, the wonderful Phil Henry and Hannah Martin joining us once again.
Phil and Hannah, they are by far and away the most highly requested Please Get Them Back act. They joined us in 2021 for our first holidays, and we are thrilled to have them back.
Yes, and even more so because they're not really touring together as a duo at the moment. So this is a really rare opportunity to see them doing their thing again.
Oh gosh, and I mean, if we're describing Edgelarks as folk legends, goodness only knows how we describe the next act.
Folk deity?
Folk deity, okay, we'll go with folk deity. That is about the level. We've only gone and got Jez Lowe, everybody. We are so thrilled to be bringing him down to Purbeck for the first time.
And we've already mentioned that Janice Burns and John Doran will be joining us, but alongside them, in a lovely contrast to their Anglo-Scottish sound, we've got an old-time Appalachian duo called Old Spot.
I discovered these guys in the Square and Compass actually last year. Just blown away, and I actually booked them the next day. That's how much I enjoyed it.
And last but not least, we've got our very good friend and instrumental guitarist extraordinaire, Will McNichol.
To say we're excited would be a fairly massive understatement, I think.
Absolutely. So to finish the show, we're going to share one of Jez's tracks, traditional favourite, The Golden Vanity, and accompanying it, we've cut together a few of our favourite photos from last year's walking holidays, and we really could not have hoped for a more wonderful bunch of people.
Oh my goodness, we couldn't have, and hey, who knows? I mean, if you manage to nab one of the final places in January, you might well meet quite a few of these guys, because most of them are coming back in 2025.
Cannot wait. So, thanks so much for joining us again tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on the splendid sofa here and spending an evening with you all. And we really cannot thank you enough for all the support, as always.
We'll hope to see you soon, maybe at a 3-dimensional concert in the spring, or maybe for our next live stream from the Happy Hut in February. But until then, take care.
I've got a ship in the North Country, down in the lowlands alone, and I fear she might be took by the Spanish enemy as she sails on the lowland sea, as she sails in the lowlands low. And up then stepped a little cabin boy, down in the lowlands alone, said, "What will you give me if I do them destroy, and sink them in the lowland sea, and sink them in the lowlands low? Oh, I'll give you silver and likewise gold, down in the lowlands low, and the only daughter for to be a bride, if you'll sink them in the lowland sea, if you sink them in the lowlands low. Oh, wrap me up in me black mare skin, down in the lowlands alone, and heave me overboard for to sink or to swim, and I'll sink them in the lowland sea, I'll sink them in the lowlands low." Playing cards and others playing dice, down in the lowlands low, and the boy had an auger bored 2 holes at once, and he sunk them in the lowlands
sea. And he's something in the lowlands low. He leaned upon his breast and he swung back again. Down in the
We were so certain that was the end of the show.
It was long enough already, wasn't it, the show? But there's more.
Not deliberately, it's just because we forgot to put it in the show proper. Because I was editing the show together going, where's the raffle draw that we've told everyone's going to happen? And then I realised we didn't do it.
So should we do it now?
Should we do it now?
Let's do it now.
This is the salad spinner of suspense, everybody. It's been broken out. It's actually an updated salad spinner from last time. Spin her up, Jane.
How far do we go? What's the optimum speed?
I think a little far. Oh, okay, that's maybe fast enough.
Just realised that was probably really close to the microphone as well, so you probably were getting lots of
maybe fade that down.
strange rumbles. Right, shall we go? Who will it be? Who will it be? I've selected.
And hang on, just before we read it out. So, for those that are going, what the heck is going on here? The Great Ninebarrow Raffle of 2024 was for those people who ordered either calendars or diaries. And with every calendar and diary you ordered, you got a raffle ticket to win one of Jay's gorgeous framed prints. So the person who is going to be winning, or people who are going to be winning one of Jay's beautiful framed prints, number 307. I'm going to bring that up, just so everyone can see that there.
You're covering it with your finger, John?
No, I'm not.
No, okay, fine, yeah.
307.
Congratulations to you.
Yes. So if that's you, all you got to do is, email us at info@ninebarrow.co.uk and just include a picture of you holding that ticket. We don't have a more sophisticated way of keeping track of where they've gone, so that's how we'll verify you. Yes, we'll arrange for a lovely picture to be framed and sent. And sent to you.
Yes.
Right, that really is the end of the show.
We'll let you
we
go
promise.
now. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We really hope you enjoyed watching this episode of Ninebarrow Wandering Minstrels.
Creating these shows is a real labour of love for us.
And every episode takes well over a week to create.
First, there's writing the script.
Then there's a pre-shoot location visit to check out where we're going to film, when we usually capture some of the drone footage.
Then we rehearse.
And then we lug all of our gear out on location at sunrise and begin the hard work.
3 cameras, 1 drone, mobile lighting rigs, field audio recording equipment.
Instruments, a battery generator, the list goes on.
And then when we're done on location, we bring home about 200 gigabytes of footage which John then gets to work on in the editing suite.
And during the couple of days it takes to edit the show together, we usually hook up with some other folky bods to record an interview to include as well.
Every episode takes somewhere between 60 and 70 hours to create, and we love every single minute of it.
If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like us to continue sharing more stories, music, natural history and folklore, we'd be so grateful if you'd consider making a broadcast donation.
Or you can also support us by visiting our online shop. Every single item in it, from CDs to t-shirts, from framed prints to tea towels, they've all been designed with love and care by, well, us here at Ninebarrow HQ.
Help support us to keep bringing you new adventures and get something beautiful in return.
Because of you, we can keep investing the time and money needed to create episodes like the one you just watched and keep them free to air for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you so much for your support.